Welcome to the Transition Toolbox by Carrington Cloud Learning. Today's topic is how to ace your next interview. Are you ready?
Welcome back to the deep dive, where we cut through all the noise, the checklists, the guides to find the essential, actionable knowledge you need to be, instantly well-informed. And today, we are diving headfirst into something almost everyone faces: how to absolutely ace your next job interview. We've gone through everything from prep exercises to expert videos to build a complete roadmap for you.
That's exactly right. And this isn't just about getting through it. It's about really mastering it.
Right.
Our goal today is to give you strategies that make a hiring manager really pay attention. Because, the whole point of the interview is to see if you're a good fit.
Not just on paper, but culturally.
Exactly. So we're going to build your confidence layer by layer, starting with what you do before you even leave the house.
Okay, let's unpack that, because success here is really built on this kind of invisible foundation of prep. Let's start with the pre-interview blueprint.
Right. Preparation is everything. I
Yeah.
mean, it's directly tied to your confidence. When you've done the work, you just project certainty. And our sources all point to 3 key areas of research.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, you have to know the company. And I mean really know it. Understand their mission, their recent whims, what they actually stand for.
So it's more than just a quick look at their homepage.
Oh, way more. You need specifics. So when they ask that classic question, why do you want to work here? Your answer feels genuine. It's tied to their actual work, not just,
I need a job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And second, you have to know the job. That job description is basically the answer P. You need to break it down and map your skills directly to what they're asking for.
Okay, so you know the company, you know the role. What's the third piece?
The third piece is the one people always skip: knowing yourself through practice. Everyone thinks their answers sound great inside their own head, but the sources are really clear on this. You have to practice by saying your answers out loud.
Why is that so critical, the difference between thinking it and saying it?
Well, it's huge. When you just think it, your brain fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
It lets you get away with vague ideas.
Right.
But when you actually have to articulate it, you hear the flaws. You catch yourself rambling. It forces you to form clear, concise sentences. It's like muscle memory for when the nerves kick in.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so that's the mental prep. What about the logistics? The stuff that makes that first impression, appearance, for instance.
Absolutely. Plan your outfit in advance. Make sure it's clean, no wrinkles. The goal isn't always a 3-piece suit,
Of course.
It's about showing the employer that you care, that you took this seriously. Appropriate attire is just a form of respect.
And what about timing? When should you actually show up?
The sweet spot seems to be about 10 to 15 minutes early. Any earlier is a bit awkward for them. Any later is, a disaster.
It gives you a moment to just breathe and collect yourself.
Exactly. And here's a practical tip that people forget all the time. Bring extra copies of your resume.
Oh, 100%.
Bring 2 or 3 clean, crisp copies. You never know if they'll bring someone else into the room or if their printer is broken. It just shows you're prepared.
It's such a small thing that makes a huge difference. Okay, so that sets the stage. But once you're actually in the room, face to face, it's a whole different ballgame.
It really is. Now we're into section 2. Projecting confidence, even if your heart is pounding.
And confidence is something you can practice, right? So let's talk about the DES, the nonverbal stuff. First up, eye contact.
Crucial. It shows you're engaged and confident, not a staring contest, but, a real connection.
And what about that initial moment, the greeting?
A smile and a firm handshake. That first physical contact sets a positive tone right away. And when you sit down, please sit up straight.
Posture equals confidence.
It really does. It's a universal signal. And you have to pair that with how you speak. Speak clearly. Don't rush.
It's okay to pause for a second before you answer.
It's more than okay. It's smart. A pause makes you sound thoughtful. Rushing just makes you seem nervous.
All right, so let's get into the counterintuitive advice now. The body language don'ts. The sources are really specific about avoiding crossing your arms. Why is that one so bad?
Because it's a universal sign for being defensive or closed off. Even if you don't mean it that way, you want to look open, receptive.
Makes sense.
And similarly, you have to watch the fidgeting. Tapping a pen, shaking your leg. It screams, "I'm nervous," and it distracts the interviewer from your great answers.
And that idea of distraction, it goes both ways, right? It's not just about what you're projecting, but also about what you're taking in. I'm talking about active listening.
Yes. It might be the most important skill in that room.
Yeah.
If you're not listening carefully, You might interrupt them.
Or you answer the question you thought they asked.
Precisely. You miss the nuance. You have to listen to the specifics so you can tailor your answers perfectly.
Which brings us right into the heart of it. Mastering the question exchange. We're moving beyond the handshake and into the actual content of the conversation.
Okay, but before we get into specific questions, there are two massive red flags. Two things you should never, ever do.
What are they?
First, you do not speak negatively about a previous boss or a company. Ever.
Even if they were genuinely terrible.
Even then.
Yeah.
It just makes you look unprofessional and, frankly, like you might be the problem. And second, try to avoid just saying, I don't know.
What should you do instead?
You can say, that's an interesting question. Let me think for a moment. Or you can try to pivot to a related strength. A blank, I don't know, just sounds like you didn't prepare.
Got it. Okay, let's hit the big one, the classic opener. Tell me about yourself.
Right. This is not your life story. It's your 90-second professional pitch. Keep it short.
So what do you include?
Focus on your relevant background, a couple of key skills, and then pivot straight to why you were excited about this role at this company. It's about your trajectory, not your whole biography.
Perfect. Now, what about the one that seems easy, but so many people mess up? What are your strengths?
The key here is to be specific and relevant. Don't just say, I'm a hard worker.
Right, it's a cliche.
Instead, look at the job description. If they need someone organized, say your strength is attention to detail. And then this is the crucial part, give a quick example.
That should prove it.
Exactly. My strength is attention to detail. For example, in my last role, I was responsible for proofreading all client reports, and I caught an error that saved the company from a major revision. Something concrete.
That makes it so much more believable. But the really tough ones are those behavioral questions, right? Tell me about a time when this is where that STAR method comes in.
It is absolutely non-negotiable for those questions. It gives you a framework so you don't ramble.
Can you just quickly break down what STAR stands for?
Of course. It's situation, task, action, and result. You're basically telling a very short, focused story.
Could you give us an example? Like, how does it turn a weak answer into a strong one?
Sure. Let's say they ask about handling a tight deadline. Instead of, I'm good under pressure, you use STAR.
Okay.
S, situation. In my last project, a team member left unexpectedly, leaving us with only 24 hours to complete a major client report.
My job was to take over their section, integrate it, and ensure the entire document was perfect before the deadline.
So I immediately delegated the proofreading, blocked out my calendar, and focused solely on finalizing the data analysis.
As a result, we submitted the report 3 hours early, and the client was thrilled with the quality.
Wow. Yeah, that is so much more powerful. It's concrete. You're showing, not just telling.
That's the whole game. And finally, when they ask, why do you want to work here? Use your research. Mention a specific product or something you admire about their company culture. Show them it's not just another application.
Which leads us perfectly into the final stage of the interview. The part that I think can really separate a good candidate from a great one.
The game changer. What you do in those last 5 minutes.
It's that moment where the power shifts and the interviewer asks, so you have any questions for us?
And the golden rule here, we cannot stress this enough, is you never say no.
Never.
Saying you have no questions can come across as a lack of interest or a lack of curiosity. Asking good questions makes you memorable.
So what makes a question good?
A great question shows you're thinking about the role long term. Not just the tasks, but the context.
Like what?
You could ask, what does success look like for this position in the first 6 months? Or maybe, what are the biggest challenges someone in this role might face?
You're showing that you're already thinking about how to succeed there.
Exactly. And always, always ask, what are the next steps in the hiring process? It shows you're serious.
On the flip side, are there questions you should absolutely avoid?
Oh, yes. The big one is, how much does this job pay, at least in the first interview? Let them bring it up first.
Why is that?
It can make it seem like money is your only motivation. And the other one to avoid, and this should be obvious, is asking something you could have Googled, like, so what does this company do?
That's an instant deal breaker.
An instant deal breaker. It proves you didn't do that first, most basic step of preparation.
So the interview ends, you've asked your great questions, you're done, right?
Almost. There's one final step that's so easy, but so many people forget: the follow-up.
The thank you note.
Exactly. Send a thank you email within 24 hours. And it's not just a formality.
Why is it so important?
Well, 2 reasons. First, it's just polite. But second, it's your final chance to sell yourself. In the email, you thank them for their time, and then you reinforce your interest in the job. You can even mention something specific from the conversation to jog their memory.
I really enjoyed our discussion about the upcoming X project.
Perfect. It's your last touch point. It helps complete that whole evaluation process of figuring out if you're the right fit for them and if they're the right fit for you.
Okay, so to recap our deep dive here, it really boils down to 3 pillars. First, that deep preparation. Research the company, the job, and actually say your answers out loud.
For sure. And second is that confident nonverbal communication. Good eye contact, firm handshake, and open body language. No crossed arms.
And third, master that question exchange. Use the STAR method to structure your answers about challenges and always ask smart questions at the end.
That's it. It's the deliberate use of these pretty simple steps that takes you from just being another candidate to being the one they have to hire.
The ideal fit.
The ideal fit. And, it raises a bigger question for you to think about.
Go on.
Given how clearly preparation leads to confidence and how practicing out loud is the key for an interview, where else in your life could you use that? Think about other high-stakes situations, a big presentation, a difficult conversation. How could practicing it out loud, maybe even using a STAR-like structure, completely change the outcome for you? Something to think about until our next deep dive.
Thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe for more transition podcast videos.